Hello and welcome to the first tutorial I've done on contact forms. Basically, we're going to go over a simple HTML and PHP contact form, and it shouldn't take us more than maybe 10 minutes to get through. There might be some security things that you might have to research and go over as far as PHP goes, because I'm not really a PHP expert by any means. So if you have more questions, get them in the comments and I'll try and see if I can answer them. But let's get started on the HTML part first. So what we're going to do is we're going to be working in Visual Studio Code, and we want to start a new file. We want to name this file first, and I'm going to name it on my desktop. So it's going to be contact.html. I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to do one more file. So I'm going to Control N and save another file. And that's going to be contact.php. And press enter. Okay, so now that I have those two set up, I'm going to start my document. And the way that I do this is I use Emmet abbreviations. And if you're unfamiliar with Emmet, do a quick search and enable it through Visual Studio Code so that you can use the same tab completion. So do an exclamation mark and then press tab, and that will write out your HTML document for you. So in between the body tags here, we want to start a form element. So we'll type form and we'll do tab. And on the action, we want to send our action to contact.php, which is the file that we just made it. And we are going to do another one, which is called method. And this method is a post method. And a post method is just a way to post data to a server, and you can store that data on a database later. So in between our form opening and closing tags, we're going to do a label. And this label is going to be for our name. So this is going to be the user's name. And we need another one for input. The type is text. We're going to give this another attribute of name and name. The name and the for attribute on the label need to match each other. That way they know that they're associated together. And we're going to give this an HTML attribute called required. And that is going to require this input element, and you can't submit this form until there's something in that element. Okay, so we're going to copy this over because we're going to use it again. And we're going to paste it. But we're going to change this for and name element. And to select both, you will hold down the Alt key. And we're going to get rid of this and put email. And actually, we want to put email in the type as well. So we have an attribute for email on the label, and name email, and type of email. And it is also a required field. Lastly, we need a, second to last, we need a label for a message. So we want a user to be able to type a message to us. And let's see. Instead of a input, we're going to use a text area. And this text area is going to be this, this name attribute is going to be message. And we can actually get rid of the ID and the columns and rows. Alright, we don't need anything between that. So the last thing that we need is our submit button. And you can use a button for this, but I prefer to use an input. And we set the type to submit. And we set the value to submit. So we'll save that. And we're actually completely done with this. If you go into your desktop and open it, you should see, your thing here. Okay, so you should see your file with your name, and I kind of messed up here. Actually, it looks like I need to change the label to email and resave that. Refresh the page. So I have a name, email, and message. And I'm not going to style this because it kind of just takes too much time. but if you want to, you can stack these, and all that you need to do, so you'll have like name here, and then you'll have below that email and message. If you want to stack them, you just need to change these input elements here. Change them to let's see, input. Change it to display, display block, and they'll shift themselves. I'm not sure why that one didn't shift right, but oh, it's because it's not all of them. Okay, so on the input here, if you want, well, I guess I can't change it. Anyways, to get them in line, just change the display block on them. So we're gonna refresh that again, and now we need our contact form, and that's going to be, or I'm sorry, the contact php.page, and we need that for sending our information. So we're going to start off by opening our PHP tag, and I like to close it. I know some people don't, but I'm going to close mine, and we're going to use some post variables. These are global scope variables, and they are basically used to grab the name attribute from an input. So we need to create variables for this. So we're going to name the variables the same thing as our inputs. So we have email, our name, email, and message. So name equals, and our global variable is post, and that takes the name attribute of your HTML. We're going to do the same thing on email, and that's post, and this is going to be email. Whoops. Make sure you got the ending semicolon, and the message, and that is a post again, and it is the message attribute from HTML. Okay, next we need a way to make sure that this is aligned. Basically, whenever we receive the message from the user, we want that content to be displayed on new lines. So we're going to create a variable, and it's going to say email content, and it's going to equal an empty string for right now. Well, actually, let's put some information in here. Let's see, form. Well, no, we want to send the name, and the name is going to be the name variable. So we have the, so we have a string name, and then whatever the person types into the contact form here, the input, it's going to show up here in the variable. And then we want a new line, and to get a new line in PHP, you do that backslash and then an n, and then we'll do the email, and then we'll get the email variable, and then we'll do another backslash and message, and we'll grab the message variable. So these variables will be replaced once the data has been entered. Okay, so let's do a recipient, if I can spell it right. Recipient equals, and this is going to be your email. So whatever your email is, go ahead and put that in there. And then the subject. Oops, we're going to do another variable for subject. And that subject can be whatever you want. Since they're strings, don't forget to close these off here. Alright, so that is all we need for those variables. We're pretty much ready to send the mail now. So in order to send mail, we need a mail function or a method. And this is going to send to the recipient. And we want the subject. We want the email content to be sent. And that's it. So get rid of that comma. So, oh, sorry. We need one more thing here. We need an error. We need a way to handle this request if it doesn't go through properly. So we're going to put or die. And error message was not sent. And let's close that out. So there are two options from here. You can either echo something back. So we can echo back message sent. Or we can send the user to another page, and by sending them to another page is probably the better thing to do. So to send users to another page, you put header, and then you do location, and then you say let's say I had a new file here and I wanted to, well, let's see, do HTML here. Yeah, I wanted a new HTML file, and this would be my thank you page. So I might say h1 thank you. Oops. Now this technically this could be PHP, and you could say thank you and then put some PHP variable in here and it'll say their name. But this would be your thank you page, and you would name that, you know, thank you whatever. So I'm not going to save that, but here you would say location to thank you .html, and then that would redirect them to the page, and they can get back to your website when they're done. So that is it. That's all that you need to do. So let's control save this real quick, and let's go back and make sure this works. So one thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if I said this or not, you need a server in order to send the message through email. So it's not going to work just by a file system. So if you have a GoDaddy account, or if you have, you know, Bluehost or whatever you use for your email or for your website, upload that into a directory that you're not using right now, and then go and test it out. But you can test it here as well to make sure that it works. And the way that you test it here is you open your inspector mode and you go to the network tab, and you don't see anything right now because we need to be on all. Make sure that you're on all down here, and start entering information. So I'm going to enter Nick example at example.com, and a message is hello there friend, and I'm going to submit that, and you're going to see down here once I do, it is redirecting me to the contact.php page, and then it did something here. So what it did was it sent the header out to be stored. So what you're going to do now is click on the name here and then the contact, and you're going to be under your headers and scroll down, and you shouldn't have any errors, and you're going to see the data, form data here. So we have a key value pairs here. So we have name, Nick, and this is the information basically that I just entered. So hello there friend is still there. And that is it. So if you upload this to your server, you should not have any problems getting it up and running. I hope you found this helpful, and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll talk to you later.